What do the Greek Orthodox Church, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, and the Jordanian Waqf all have in common? Well, the answer is a building project in Jerusalem. And for the rest of the story, you're just going to have to stay tuned. This is the Israel Guys.
Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of fake news, you should connect to the true and authentic stories of Israel. Guys, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that. What are all the rundowns? Click the notification bells, leave us comments. Guys, we got a lot of other stuff too. There's a whole website, theisraelguys.com, theisraelguys.com. Check out our resources there, previous shows, lots of topics that we've covered before that you really don't want to miss, especially our Mythbuster shows that come out typically once a week. Those are fantastic little quick snippets of things that you may not know of previously. Just busting myths. We just love busting myths around here. Luke, we got a lot of things to talk about today. Before we talk about those two big stories, before we talk about that, people need to remember to buy their t-shirts.
That's right.
The Israel Guys t-shirts, as well as a sticker to put on the back of their car.
And if you go to the shop on theisraelguys.com, we actually are about to have a brand new batch of handmade from the heartland, from vineyards, made from vineyards, jewelry. So mostly for the ladies, but guys, you should check it out because you should buy it for your lady.
That's right. That's right. And
number one way to make sure she knows that she's loved.
Also, don't forget to check out our referral links. A great way to support Israel. Those links are at the
They don't go to China. They go to actual people living here in Israel.
Direct connection to people.
Josh,
living
we
in
are running a marathon. Actually, not. We're running a half marathon. You and I are running a half marathon. Yeah. All of these people are either running a half marathon or a 10K, but this isn't just any ordinary marathon. This is called the Bible Marathon, and it actually happens in the middle of the heartland of Israel. We did it a few years ago. Super excited to do it again. And if you want to sponsor the team, you want to sponsor Josh and I, the crew behind the cameras, and other staff members here in Israel that work with us, you can go to theisraelguys.com/donate or click on the link in the description below, make a donation, leave a note that says this is for to sponsor the Bible Marathon. We greatly appreciate you doing that. Josh, I was thinking about it. The reason I think and why we feel so connected to an event like this is mainly because I want to get in shape. No, I'm just kidding. I do want to get in shape, but because you have and we're going to talk about this because Mike Pompeo came to Shiloh this week. But when you have events like a marathon in the heartland of Shiloh, it tells the world that this is a normal place, and it tells the world that this is an important place, and it tells the world that this place belongs to Israel. And by participating in an event like a marathon, that says we're standing here, and we're standing with Israel, and we're standing with the Bible Marathon because we believe that this land belongs to Israel as well.
Yeah, and Luke, I was just thinking too, this is a special offer right now, only those listening to this show right now, that if there's a gift over 100,000, Luke, you will run the full marathon. Luke will, yeah.
You will, yeah.
And for 200,000, I'll run as well. Oh. Okay? That's a right now thing. If you're listening and you hear that, Luke and I both, you can put us both in the marathon league.
Nothing less than 100,000, though.
Yeah, okay. And
you're going to have to run with me, though. Okay. $100,000, we will run the full marathon.
Okay, yeah.
You want to see some pain. But anyways, theisraelguys.com. You can make a donation to sponsor us and the rest of the team that was up on the screen there. Just leave a note, sponsorship for the Bible Marathon. And it's happening on November 5th. That's just a couple weeks away. Josh, you been out training?
No, actually. I've got like 2 runs in, but I'm feeling good. I
think I've got like 4 in, so I'm a little heavy. Okay. But Josh, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo visited the biblical heartland this past Sunday, and it was a historic visit, and even more significant than it was last year, right? Yeah, last year when he came to the Psagot Winery. He came to the Psagot Winery again. There's even you see in the photo there, a bottle of wine called Pompeo wine. They named it after him, produced at the winery. But this time, he actually came, and he not only came to the Psagot Winery, but he went to Shiloh as well and had a private tour there. And I want to get into this because, if you know geography at all, you have Jerusalem. Just north of Jerusalem is Psagot, and that's where the winery is at. You only have to drive out of Jerusalem 15 minutes to get to Psagot, and it's right there. Yes, you are across the Green Line, and you're in the heartland, but it's pretty close to Jerusalem. So that's one thing. If a leader of such high status like Mike Pompeo visits there, it's a huge statement like he did last year. This time, he not only did that, he got in a car and he drove down Highway 60 and he drove 40 minutes all the way to Shiloh, to the ancient tabernacle site, which is in the heart of Samaria. If somebody like that, former Secretary of State of the United States, comes to Shiloh, that is a statement. And he didn't just do his actions. We got some quotes and video clips. I mean, like, quotes. You could not get a stronger supporter of Israel than Mike Pompeo. And so basically, though, talking about, the Bible Marathon, normalizing and legitimizing the heartland of Israel, Mike Pompeo comes to Shiloh, and he basically tells the world, it is okay to visit the heartland. It's not only okay, but it is encouraged, and you should do it. One of the highest officials in the United States comes to the heartland of Israel. So last year, Mike Pompeo made history when he came out with a statement that would become known as the Pompeo Doctrine, right? When he basically said that Israel settlements are not illegal per se under international law. That was groundbreaking. Yeah. It's the first time in history, right, that an official has come out and said, under international law, the United States government has determined that Israel settlements are not illegal. He was the first world leader that I know of to ever boldly proclaim the actual truth regarding Israel's biblical heartland.
Well, and he clarified all the international laws beforehand, where there was a lot of confusion because there was so much written in these international laws that people were confused one way or the other. He basically brought the definitions in and said, no, international law doesn't have anything wrong with this. Actually, international law states the opposite.
What? Then, like I said, boldly, he just told the truth. They didn't come out with something new or change his status or change the law. Guys, if we can go ahead and pull up that first video clip. This is Mike Pompeo's speech at the Psagot Winery, and this first clip has to do with them moving the embassy to Jerusalem.
The first truth that we told was that the rightful capital of this nation ought to be the place where we have our embassy. I'll never forget the meetings that said there will be war. This will create intifada. This creates enormous risk. And yet, President Trump was bold. He was prepared. We did the work. And we made the simple, truthful statement and moved our embassy to the rightful capital of the Jewish homeland.
Josh, I like how he laughed right there in the meeting, because he said, we made the decision to move the embassy to Israel's rightful capital. And then he kind of laughed because it's like, it's a no-brainer. It's the truth, and it's what should have been done, but it's what no one else had the courage to do before him.
Well, I like what he followed up with that, too, is he's like, the whole world says there's going to be war. Every time Israel wants to do something that's in Israel's interest, the whole world threatens, it's going to cause war. Well, guess what happens actually when you don't? It's actually exactly false. It's opposite of that. When Israel stepped forward and kicked the people into gear that needed to be into gear and to move things where they needed to be and put their embassy in Jerusalem and put the American embassy in Jerusalem. Israel's embassy's always been in Jerusalem, and move things where it was. Guess what? They actually had more international respect, and especially among the Arab world. And we saw that already with the different accords, the Abraham Accords that are popping up around the world. They're even talking about more of those happening soon. Who knows about that? But there's a fact. Yeah. And that's the reason why he chuckles, I think. He's like,
nobody else had the courage to do this, but we did it.
And guess what? There was no war. And Israel's enemies actually respect it.
Let's pull up that second clip, one more clip from Mike Pompeo's speech. And this one, it's quite a bit stronger. Let's play that clip now.
We made the simple statement that Israel is not an occupying force in Judea and Samaria. That this is the rightful homeland for the people of Israel here in Judea and Samaria. We recognize that this isn't an occupying nation. It is not an apartheid country. It is a democracy where faith can be practiced from all of the Abrahamic traditions.
Josh, I don't think people realize what the former administration, like how strong of support, even conservative administrations, Republican pro-Israel administrations in the past, no one has had the courage to, number one, move the embassy, and then two, to come right out and say Israel is not an occupying force in Judea and Samaria. To come out and say that and actually proclaim the truth, and goes on and says Israel's not an occupying nation. They're not an apartheid nation. It's a democracy where faith can be practiced from all the Abrahamic traditions.
Luke, what I like what he says is it's the blatant truth, and we've said it a million times on the show, is that how can Jews be occupying Judea? And Mike Pompeo is just saying the truth, that Jews don't occupy Judea. It's just a really basic principle, embedded in the name of the thousands years old name that's here on this land. So again,
he went
really
on, Josh,
basic, simple things.
A couple more quotes from his trip here to Israel. He's talking to the Jerusalem Post. Pompeo said, quote, "Occupation is a legal term whose definition does not apply to the state of Israel under the law." Another quote, and when he went on to criticize the Biden administration giving in to a, quote, false principle that Israel is an illegal occupier. He called on Israel to confront that narrative, which he said is the beating heart of modern anti-Semitism, and dubbed the lie of occupation. I mean, he just like calls it out as it is. He doesn't pull any punches. And I like how he does it so quietly.
Right.
And at the end of his speech, I don't know how many times he talked about, may the Lord bless you, may the Lord bless this land. He said, may the Lord continue to watch over Judea and Samaria and all of Israel. He doesn't shy away from it. He doesn't want it to be unknown. He wants the entire world to know that the former Secretary of the United States, maybe a future friend to Israel in a government position, believes 100% that Israel has a right to their biblical heartland.
Look, I'm thinking there's like serious times in history when there's been these Christian Zionists, and I put Pompeo in that category. He's a strong Christian man, and from that Christian belief is where he gets his Zionism. He believes in the land of Israel and the people of Israel. I look at Herzl. He had this Christian guy that stood beside him and said, "You got to do it. Like, you got to do it." And Herzl, in his own words, even was saying that, but he probably wouldn't have made it where he got without this guy just believing in him. And I feel like Mike Pompeo is like one of those guys that stands up beside the nation of Israel.
The
and
man
says,
you were talking about.
You got to do it.
Okay, what if because I have one more quote about what his future role might be.
Yeah,
for Israel.
Well, that's exciting.
But the guy who you're talking about, William Heckler, he's a Christian pastor from America who pushes Theodore Herzl to actually, begin the process of founding the state of Israel. What if Mike Pompeo, comes along in a future government and pushes the nation of Israel to actually declare sovereignty in Judea and Samaria?
Well, I mean,
wouldn't that just be amazing?
Okay, he hasn't said
and he
it
goes
yet.
down in history.
But if he's president,
okay, so I got a quote. You ready? Because they asked him, what about
everybody's
his
like, "Are you
future
going to
role?"
be president?
And
You're gonna run.
He said, quote, "You can count on my continued support for the relationship between the United States and Israel. Who knows what that role will be, and today I'm here just as an American citizen coming to share my deep and abiding love for this really special place here in Israel. I'll stay in this fight. If it is really important, it's important for Israel. As an evangelical Christian, I love this place. It's important for the United States, and it is important for the greater Middle East to have a strong relationship between our two democratic nations."
Strong.
Hopefully a future president of the United States of America.
Let's hope for it. I don't know what the chances are of it, but boy, that would sure be a great thing. I think it's Trump, the Christian. Who knows? Everybody said Trump was a Christian, but who's the judge? Yeah. Mike Pompeo for sure is a strong.
There's no doubt about it. I've heard him speak in
Christian
person too. There's no doubt about it.
But it'd be a great president.
Josh, bottom line, Mike
Israel.
Pompeo comes to Israel, and he actually says, "I went to Judea and Samaria today to acknowledge that Israel is not an occupying nation." Not only does Mike Pompeo come to Israel, he makes like the headline of his trip, a trip to Israel's biblical heartland, and declares with no uncertainty that this is part of the nation of Israel.
Give it to Mike Pompeo for his strong stance and standing with Israel. Luke, along with this, we got like Mike Pompeo on this side, like the strong Zionist character, and then we've got these other almost said like buffoons, but like these other guys that are like really like haters, like that hate Israel. Like,
maybe we should preface this with an apology in case anyone out there is part of the Greek Orthodox Church.
If you're part of the Greek Orthodox Church. Yeah,
the alliance is not so good in the last couple days.
Yeah, but I mean, look, Greek Orthodox Church, it's pretty well historically, like they've made these bad decisions time and time again when it comes to
here in Israel
Jewish
for
people.
sure. Yeah,
the Mufti, like the siding with the Mufti and the Jerusalem
and the Waqf.
The Waqf. Okay, you can't. That's like you think the Mufti and the Waqf. That's like the Arabs, and everybody knows that's Arab. And now the Greek Orthodox are joining band with them. What's going on with that? Right.
So just to set the stage a little bit, you guys probably saw our viral video where we went to the Palestinian city of Rawabi, a modern Western city that's supposed to house 40,000 people, and it's a ghost town because nobody lives there. Check it out on our YouTube channel. But the same multi-billionaire that built Rawabi has now just announced plans to build a new, I guess it's called a neighborhood, but it's called Lana.
Lana.
In Jerusalem.
Yeah, and guess what Lana means in Arabic? It means ours. Okay, so does the name Lana have anything to do with what the intents are of this billionaire Arab that wants to now take a land grab in Jerusalem. Well, yeah, I think it does. This is the largest development, Luke, in the East Jerusalem area. This is the largest building.
Right. And it's right in the middle of a very units. Poor Arab area of Jerusalem.
Like there's refugee camps.
Beit Hanina, and you got Kalandia right around the area there. But this town, Lana, it's not like just housing units. No. It's like, and it's specifically stated that it's for the upper class of Arab society, right?
Way upper class, like classy.
You're talking about penthouse suites.
Penthouse style, yeah. And it's built after Rowabi. Like you said, we went to Rowabi. It's like that kind of Rowabi was
except probably more, right? I would say.
Yeah,
like,
probably a little bit even more, yeah.
It's ritzy looking. We have a picture. Maybe you guys can put that back up on the screen. But it's a nice looking place.
This is the founder, the Bashar al-Masri. He's the billionaire Arab guy that was born right here next door to us in Nablus. He was born in Nablus, and he actually went to Virginia for a while. Went to school in Virginia in the States. Traveled around the world. Traveled to a bunch of Arab nations. Came back here to Israel, so-called Palestine. He would never agree that this is Israel, and he started to build what he would want, like a Western style Palestine.
Right.
So that was his intent with Rowabi, and now his intent with moving his idea of Rowabi now to Jerusalem. Now, why is that important? Because Jerusalem, people want Jerusalem. The whole internet, everybody's looking at Jerusalem.
Right.
And the Palestinian grab here is
especially
they want
from
a
the
majority.
Three big faiths. You got Christianity, Islam, Judaism.
Yeah, and they want the majority. What their hope is to create a mass around Jerusalem that says, why would you not create the Palestinian headquarters? Now, how is this the Jewish capital? How is this the capital of Israel when, look, there's more Arabs here than Jews? Okay. That's what they're shooting for. If they can build up enough area around and get enough Arabs to move into the area, it's totally a political land. It's a totally political land grab 100%. And this is his goal, is to create this with 400 new, fancy, ritzy apartments. And I would say that's just the beginning, Luke. This is just the beginning of it.
Oh, yeah.
They're only at the beginning. Now, here's the interesting thing. The Jerusalem municipality, because it's actually, the area is, part of it is inside the Jerusalem boundaries. So they have to get approval from the municipality to get the land allotted. Like they have to have permits because this is Israel. Israel, the capital of Israel is Jerusalem, and that's actually on the books. Israel, that's where it lands.
Right.
So in order to do this, you have to have legit signatures and stuff like that. Okay, so Israel actually gave that. So Israel has given the permissions for this building of 400 homes in this new Palestinian, I'm just going to call it a land grab because it's a totally political deal. And that was in 2019. And just as of September 2nd, they've issued the permits to begin now. Like, do it. The whole thing, ready to go. So supposedly everything's ready to roll on this, and the master plan is ready to roll with Arabs moving into Jerusalem at high rates. Now,
That's just go ahead. There's two things I want to mention on this. Number one is that someone sent me the link for I think it's like the Orthodox Church Times website or something like that. And they had an article about this project. And there's one quote that stuck out to me, and I didn't get a chance to copy it down. But in essence, it said, "We're excited about this partnership between the Greek Orthodox Church and basically the Arabs, but the Grand Mufti, the Waqf, and everything." And I was like, something wrong with that, okay? Excited about a partnership between the two entities, Greek Orthodox Church. I'm not going to say Christianity because I know everybody's not Greek
everybody's
Orthodox.
Like, wait, not me.
And the Muslims in Jerusalem, and basically they're saying we're leaving the Jews out because there's no Jew in Jerusalem in the future of a Palestinian society here in their dreams. There's no Jew that's living in Jerusalem.
Luke, I just got to take it back even a step farther because there was in 1948. We've got that's not like that crazy long ago. 1948, as well as in 1967. Okay, the Christians and Muslims were actually joined forces and fought the Jews both times.
Right.
Both times. Back then there was a large Christian groups here within the Muslim population here, and they all joined together. Jerusalem was being fought. Like we all, like sitting here right now, the miracle of the Jews coming back to the land of Israel, establishing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and expanding out and this miracle that happened, all of that was being fought, literally, not just by the Arabs, but by the local Christians here as well. And I'm not going to, okay, somebody's going to say, well, there was 2 or 3 that weren't. Okay, yeah, I'm sure there were, but a majority were fighting against the Jews.
Right.
And now today we're seeing the exact same thing happen. These Orthodox groups are joining together, and it's not just them. It crosses quite a few different what do you say? Denominational lines. And they're actually siding with the Arabs against the Jews, just like the history tells over and over again.
One other thing I want to bring out in this is not about providing housing for the Palestinian people.
No, that's what they said it was.
Okay? They state that on their website, but it's 100% not. How do we know that? Rawabi is supposed to be a modern Western city built for 40,000 people, built for housing for the Palestinian people.
Yeah.
Guess what? We went there. Nobody lives there.
As of 2019, there was 4,000 people.
Then there's housing for 40,000. And when we went there, they're still moving full steam ahead, building the city, trying to finish it up. And it's a ghost town.
We were just there not that long ago.
We went and counted cars, and we counted the towels hanging on the rails of the apartment buildings. There's nobody living there, okay? Out of 40,000, 4,000, maybe 5,000 is a pretty good stretch. Okay, so that being said, the same guys building this Lana neighborhood, it's not for housing for the Palestinian people. Like you said, it's a land grab. Yeah. And it's a part of them capturing their vision and their dream for a Jew-free Jerusalem.
And it's, again, focusing on East Jerusalem, which is
right.
That's
the heart
war.
of the matter.
It's the war that's going on for Jerusalem, and it's East Jerusalem, and the Arabs are grabbing at every bit of land they can possibly get for the reason to. And what do we have even right now with Biden in the United States wanting to establish what? A consulate for the what?
Yeah, which they're pushing again this week.
Palestinian state. This is what they're going for. And if they can establish that East Jerusalem section and Judenrein it, right? Like, get rid of all the Jews out of this area. Boom.
Josh, there's one thing we didn't even get into. Where's the funding coming for this neighborhood?
Yeah, you don't need to talk about that. You're right.
Qatar,
yeah, okay.
Guess who else Qatar funds? The Gaza Strip.
Yeah.
Which ultimately goes to Hamas.
Boom,
right?
It all just went right in one funnel. Yeah.
I think we have a quote from a Jerusalem City Council member, Yonatan Yosef.
This is important because this guy's actually on the council.
Right.
Let's go ahead and read it.
He said, quote, as a member of the Planning and Building Committee, I'm shocked that people who define themselves as Zionists are working against the Zion of the Holy City. I'll do my best to thwart the dangerous plan for the future of the Jewish majority in Jerusalem.
So he nails it right here. The Jewish guys are understanding what the issue is. He said it, the Jewish majority of Jerusalem. They have to maintain the Jewish majority of Jerusalem. They're being overrun by not only this Palestinian Arab population that are trying to grab it, what, Qatar?
Yeah.
Funding it? Okay, so this is what they're up against.
Something definitely below the surface here. Guys, please let us know what you think in the comments below. Like we said, you have the Muslim Waqf Mufti in Jerusalem. You have the Greek Orthodox Church joining in this land grab to basically kick the Jews out of Jerusalem. The question is, when you have that, you have part of Christianity, a major part of Christianity, you have Muslim Islam. Question is, as Christians, where do we stand individually? Let us know what you think.
Pompeo.
In the comments below.
He's got it right.
Yeah. That's the other thing I was going to mention. We have like two opposite ends of the spectrum.
I'm telling you right now, yeah.
You have an amazing Christian Zionist that was like one of the highest powers in the United States government saying that Israel has a right to Jerusalem, Judea and Samaria. And then you have the Greek Orthodox Church and the Mufti and all them getting together and saying, nope, no right. We're gonna build multi-million-dollar homes and apartments here just to make sure that this is ours forever to come. Let us know what you think in the comments below, guys. In the meantime, tune out the fake news and tune into what's actually happening right here in the land of Israel. We'll be back next week right here at the Israel Guys.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe if you like that content. We can get it to you every week right there at your fingertips. If you really liked it and have questions, anything, we love comments. Go ahead and leave us a comment as well. If you'd like to even go further, your support would be greatly appreciated. We've got lots of content, lots of ideas that we want to keep pushing out there. If you want to support, you can go to our Patreon page or check us out at theisraelguys.com.